Before we start our next chapter, we're going to talk about some famous explorers from Antarctica. For thousands of years, Antarctica was a land of mystery. No one was certain it even existed. There were no boats strong enough to get through the packed ice surrounding the huge continent. But in the late 1700s, one famous explorer got close enough to guess that the Greeks had been right. Land does really exist at the South Pole. Can you believe for that long they didn't know? Captain James Cook, from 1728 to 1779, Cook was a great British explorer. He discovered places most people had never heard of. Captain Cook explored the Pacific Ocean, the Arctic, and the seas around Antarctica. He mapped the coastlines and he studied the movement of the Earth and stars. Long ago, sailors used the stars to help guide or navigate their ships. Captain Cook's ship had flat bottoms that held a lot of cargo. The ships were so strong that he said, no sea can hurt them. The ships had crews of about 100 men. Sometimes Cook and his crew battled raging storms, illness, and attacks from native tribes. Cook sailed around Antarctica on his ship, the Endeavour. Captain Cook and scurvy. Long ago, sailors suffered from a terrible disease called scurvy. It made their gums bleed inside their mouth and their teeth fall out. Many sailors became too weak to work. Some even died. Captain Cook noticed that his men were healthy when they ate certain fruits and vegetables. He decided to make all the men eat lots of limes and pickled cabbage. None of them got scurvy. These fruits are full of vitamin C. The body stores vitamin C for about 6 weeks. After it runs out, there's a risk of getting scurvy. So today we know that eating fruits and vegetables helps prevent scurvy. Cook gets close. Captain Cook sailed around Antarctica, but he never saw land. There was too much ice for him to get close enough. Cook guessed that land was nearby when he spotted icebergs with rocks frozen in them. But it was not until 1821 that a group of explorers from Britain actually set foot on Antarctica itself. So next time, we'll read about another explorer called Robert Scott. Now let's get on to Chapter 6 in our book. Chapter 6, All Fall Down. Nancy put away her radio and looked at Jack and Annie. I don't know how you two got past me. We're sorry, said Annie. This is unbelievable, said Nancy. Jack couldn't believe it either. How did they mess up so badly? I'm so sorry I brought you here, said Nancy. No, it's our fault, Jack said again. It's mine, all mine. Oh, said Nancy. She seemed near tears. You're just little kids. Not so little, thought Jack. Gee. A snowmobile rumbled outside, its engine warming up. Oh dear, said Nancy. I've got to lead the group up a safe route to the crater, or they'll be in trouble. But Pete should be back here in just a few minutes. Will you be okay by yourselves till then? We'll be fine. Don't worry, said Annie. Good, said Nancy. Here, sweeties. She poured some water into 2 cups and gave them to Jack and Annie. Drink. While they drank the water, Nancy spread a blanket on the floor and turned on a small heater. Lie down here, she said. Just rest. She patted the blanket. Jack and Annie lay down. Nancy covered them with another blanket. If you get thirsty, drink more water, she said. Thanks, said Annie. Jack was too embarrassed to say anything. He felt like a preschool kid being put down for a nap. Okay, Nancy said with a big sigh. You kids nearly gave me a heart attack, she repeated herself as she left the hut. Sorry, Jack said. But Nancy was gone. Soon the roar and rumble of the snowmobiles filled the air as Nancy led the scientists and journalists up the mountain. We really messed up our mission this time, said Jack, laying under the blanket. And we were doing so well, said Annie. She sat up. Can I please see Morgan's rhyme? Jack pulled the rhyme out of his pocket and handed it to Annie. Okay, said Annie. She read it aloud. Then all fall down till you come to the cave of the ancient crown. I wonder if this counts as falling down, asked Annie. She put the rhyme in her pocket. I don't think so, said Jack. I don't know what that means, and there's no ancient crown in Antarctica. It's all science and research and rules and helicopters and snowmobiles. It's the real world. His voice trailed off. Well, I know one thing. I don't want to waste time lying around here, said Annie. She threw off her blanket and stood up. At least I can take a few pictures while we wait for Pete. You really feel like doing that? Said Jack. Not really, but I'm going to try, said Annie. I don't think you should, said Jack. Don't worry, I'll be back soon, said Annie. Maybe I'll see an ancient crown. Yeah, sure, said Jack. Annie put on her goggles and ski mask and headed outside. I predicted in my head that they were going to go, but I didn't think it was going to be Annie. I thought it was going to be both of them. Annie sure is brave. Jack reached into his pocket and pulled out their book. He took off his glasses and looked up Ancient Crown in the index. He was surprised to find it wasn't there. Jack put the book back in his pack and took out his notebook. He read over his notes. Go slow, stay with others, cracks in the ice, never touch wildlife. Jack's hand was cold, so he put his glove back on. He put away his notebook and then laid his head back down and closed his eyes. He just wanted to sleep. The warmth from the small heater felt so good. The sound of the snowmobiles was fading into the distance. As he started to fall asleep, the words in his notes ran through his mind. Go slow, stay with others, cracks in ice. Oh no, thought Jack. He sat up straight. He tossed off the blanket. He threw on his pack and he rushed out of the hut. The wind was blowing the snow into icy clouds. Jack pulled up his ski mask and lowered his goggles. Annie, he shouted. What? Her voice came from a distance. Jack caught sight of her. She was aiming her camera up at a slope at the smoking crater of a mountain. You have to come back now, he shouted, walking to her. You shouldn't be walking around by yourself. Okay. Annie put her camera in the pocket. Come on, Jack said. He took Annie's hand. They held on to each other and walked through the blowing snow towards the hut. Remember Nancy's rules, said Jack. There are deep cracks in... Ah! Before Jack could finish, the ground beneath him gave way, and he and Annie crashed through a thin layer of snow, hiding a crack in the ice. Jack and Annie landed on an icy ledge. Clumps of snow fell on top of them. Silence filled the air. A thin shaft of light came from the opening they had fallen through. It was at least 10 feet above them. You okay? Jack said. I think so, said Annie. They both sat up slowly. Annie peered over the ledge. Uh-oh, she said. Look. Jack looked. He and Annie were on the ledge of a ravine that plunged thousands of feet into the darkness. These must be one of those hidden places in the mountain Nancy talked about, said Jack. The ones made by lava and hot gases. It's incredible, said Annie. She reached in her pocket for a camera. As soon as Annie moved, Jack heard the ice crack. Don't move, he said. Annie froze. Forget pictures, said Jack. We're facing serious danger here. If we move, the ice might break under us and we'll fall thousands of feet. Got it, said Annie. She took a deep breath. Maybe we should use the wand. We can't, said Jack. The wand won't work. We can only use it for the good of others, not for ourselves. Darn, said Annie. They were both still for a moment, listening to the immense silence around them. Okay, said Annie. The way I see it, if we don't use the wand, we'll be stuck here forever. Soon we'll make the wrong move and fall. Right, said Jack. So we'll never find the secret of happiness for Merlin, said Annie. Merlin will fade away completely from sorrow, and Camelot will lose its magic forever. Right, said Jack. So maybe in this case, rescuing ourselves isn't just our good, said Annie. Our good is also the good of others, like Merlin. Good thinking, said Jack. Let's try it. He carefully twisted around and took off his backpack. Then he reached inside and pulled out the wand of Dionysus. Okay, 5 words, Jack whispered. I guess I'll have to wish for it to save you and me and Merlin. Hey, why didn't you make that wish a long time ago? We couldn't, said Annie. We hadn't tried our hardest yet. Right, get ready, said Jack. He closed his eyes and held up the gleaming silver wand and said, Save Annie, Merlin, and me. Jack waited. Then he opened his eyes and looked around. What happened? He said. Nothing, said Annie. I guess it didn't work, said Jack. He turned to put the wand away. I guess the rules must crack. The ice broke. The ledge gave way. Ah! Called Jack and Annie as they fell through the twilight. Down through darkness. Down, down, down into blackness. Oh my goodness, I have never read a Jack and Annie book that is this exciting. I'm very worried about them. So on Monday, we'll have to read to find out what happens to them in the chapter called The Emperor. I can't wait to see what happens.